Hello, today in my writing process playlist I have a cold, so my voice is a little bit off. But I'm going to be talking about my first draft prep time, the things I'm doing to organize myself so when I get to the actual writing I am ready. I will talk a bit more about that in my pacemaker video. In this video, it's going to be kind of two parts. The first is going to be kind of a bullet point list of how I organize myself. And the second part is going to be kind of an update on my Scrivener file and what I do to organize that better. So here's some things to consider when you're getting ready for the first draft. It's very important to define your project. And I've spent many videos doing that. If you've been watching this, you know that it's quite defined at this point. I have an outline. I know the scope of my project, how big I want it to be. I mean, it could become bigger, but I do think this is an ambitious project, and I already kind of have that in my head. It's not good when you don't know what you're trying to do. I think it's best to have an idea and maybe go bigger eventually, but it's really hard to rein something in if it's too big, if you're not ready for it. I've set some goals for myself, which I'll talk more about in my pacemaker video, and it's just good to have a framework that guides you through the writing, and that can be many things. I will talk a little more about that in my printing packets video, which is coming up, but the more you have of that stuff, the better prepared you are. It's also important to create a writing schedule, a daily word count goal. This helps you maximize your productivity. Again, I'll talk more about that in my pacemaker video. Number 3 is your research and your note-taking. It's important to get as much of this done as possible before, and I have. I've spent months doing this. If you've watched the videos, you know that. But I'm not finished with it. Even though I'm starting the first draft, I still have lots of research to do. There are elements that I haven't had time to get to, but I know that I've done enough research to know that when I get to those portions of the book, I can kind of go there if I need to. If I can't get it done in the first draft, it will happen in the second. That doesn't mean I can't do more. There will be times where I'm trying to get, a certain amount of words done in a day, and I'll be like, damn, I don't have that. I didn't think of that. Or I researched it some, but not enough, or something pops up, and then after my word count, I might have to go that night and research things, so I'm ready the next day. Number 4 is eliminate distractions. You need to minimize your potential distractions. Social media, emails, phone notifications, any kind of buzzers, alarms that go off. It doesn't hurt to have website blockers or apps that kind of rein you in. I am going to be using Scrivener for a lot of my first draft, and Scrivener has the writing scroll, which is distraction free, so I really love that. Another way to do it is to purchase a digital typewriter. It's called FreeWrite. I don't have any affiliation with them, and I actually don't have one, but I know about them, and if it's something that might help you, I think it would be worth the price. I haven't used one, so I don't know how good they are. I've considered buying one before, but I don't know. Maybe someday. Number 5, you need to be prepared to write badly. It's not going to be perfect. The first draft is never perfect, and you should not strive for perfection. You should focus on getting the story down. You should focus on your emotions and feelings while you're writing, the passions that you have. It should be a bit messy, and you shouldn't be that worried about how refined it is. Number 6, placeholders for scenes or information. You should be ready to put in placeholders in place of details you need to flesh out later. This could be things you haven't researched, it could be names you don't know how to spell, or you need to figure that out. Any of that. The more you have that, the more you can throw these things in quickly, even if it's just a tiny note. I will explain that more when I'm doing the first draft, but it maintains your momentum to have these things. And then you avoid getting stuck in specific areas. So that is something I have in the back of my head before I start. The seventh thing is kind of optional. Some people prefer this, some people do not, and that is community. Doesn't hurt to have people around you that are going through the same process. Years back, I did National Novel Writing Month with a friend. It was good to have that accountability. We could bounce back and forth with each other, say, how many words did you write today? Did you do it? If you failed, then you feel a little bit of shame, and then you work harder the next day. There's also encouragement. You can encourage each other when you're feeling the grind, because you're going to feel the grind. So it doesn't hurt to have people around, moral support, help talk through ideas. Now, I really don't prefer writing groups for a variety of reasons. I would much rather have one trusted friend that can kind of give me some feedback and help me through these doldrums than to have a bunch of people with many different points of view trying to influence me, especially at this stage of the writing. I don't want that. Maybe later, even then, I think there's such a thing of having too many cooks in the kitchen. And the final thing is review and refine later. That's number 8. You will have several other drafts of this project. Don't get hung up on that. Know in the back of your head when you're writing this, I can always fix it later. I can always improve it. And I will improve it. Just get it down. So when it comes to my Scrivener file, some of this stuff I've talked about in previous videos, but it doesn't hurt to touch on it briefly here. Things I did to help organize it better, I sorted through more of my bricks. I have a video on bricks in the early parts of this playlist. You can check that out if you want to know more what I mean by that. But it doesn't hurt to place these snippets into the appropriate chapters that they might happen in. Maybe it has to do with character or character dialogue, putting those in the right places. Doesn't hurt to double check your information and make sure it lines up. I've talked about my outlines. I did make some changes to the chapter names and stuff. I went through this file and double checked that stuff just to make sure it's all aligned. Characters, double check on those. In my print packets video, I'm going to discuss what I did with that and why it's important to have these characters printed out. It's just really, really important to have this as organized as possible. I can't stress this enough. I just don't know how people that go by the seat of their pants ever get anything done, because there's going to be enough times where I am going by the seat of my pants. And, you know, it's like going in a battle or something. You want to have a game plan. You want to have it as sorted out as much as possible, but while also leaving room for, you know, innovation and chaos and all these other things that are going to come into the equation. But if you don't have it organized, you're setting yourself up for, at the worst case, failure, and at the best case, a lot of struggle in trying to get it sorted out. Any block can derail your drafting process. Anything. One thing I know about creating things is that you want to minimize those problems as much as possible. That's when people get stuck. That's when people get put into a place where they feel like it's hopeless and I don't know how to solve this, I don't know how to fix this. And then there's pressure. And the more pressure you have, the harder it's going to be. So you really need to get it to the point where you have the least amount of pressure as possible. And that's what this is all for. My next video is going to be on the pacemaker plan, and I'll talk about that then. That's all I got for today. If you want to like and subscribe, if you haven't done so already, you can do that. If you have anything to say about anything I've touched on, you can also do that. Getting really close to the first draft. I'm excited. I'm ready. A little bit scared, but that's a good thing. That's all I got. Take care. Have a good day.